Hey everyone. Whoa. Thanks, Naomi. Welcome to my talk, which is called How I Found the One Timeline Where My Passion Project Didn't Die. And in this talk, I'll go over the timeline, over the passion project itself, and why I think it hasn't died yet. My name is Celine Veltman. I'm game art, design, and direction, the category. But yeah, for this project, I do these three things. So when I talk about the passion projects, I'm talking about this. This is Curiosmos, which is a whimsical space game about the creation of solar systems and planets. Its gameplay is inspired by digital playground games like Veltman, Wobble Dog, Digital Beard Playground. And I was really attracted to the idea that it's not about winning, but just about playing around. So let's watch the teaser trailer. Amazing. Yeah, so I'm making this with a small team, as Naomi said. Only Chris is here. And yeah, so this talk is divided in chapters, and we're going to talk about everything that happened before Curiosmos, which gives it a lot of context. So after game school, me and my game developer friends thought that it would be a great idea to start a co-working space. And we did, and we called it Boomhut, which means treehouse in Dutch. And there we would all work on our own games, and I was making silly little prototypes, and that was absolutely great. I'm going to show you a couple. This is a flower generator based on Risoprint style, together with Alice Tolsma, my Risoprint illustrator friend. This is Dandelion, which was going to be a cute narrative game where you're playing with this dandelion who meets all these bugs on the way, and the bugs talk about their problems, and you'll help them to solve it. I also started working on the Merlies, which is a French project that's about like these tiny birds that live in a post-apocalyptic world, and they try to restore it by putting all the trash into buildings. And I was helping a lot with the concept art. So this is the house, the tree for all the birds where they live in. These are like the buildings that they could make. You can see that's like pieces of trash that could exist, that they'll transform. These are the bird, like you had different communities. That was a lot of fun. Then I also worked on Similand 2. Similand 1 is by Sock Pop. This one never saw the light, but it was a lot of fun to work on. And I also made this space prototype about like a small planet with stardust and such. Does that seem familiar? Making prototypes is super great, was a lot of fun, but it doesn't earn a lot of money. So I was slowly starting to run out. Getting a bit stressful, but then this great thing happened to me, because around this time, my friend Adrian de Jong asked me if I could help work on his game to make a couple of DLCs. And of course I said yes, and it was this game. Do people know this game? It's hidden, folks. It's like a Where's Waldo, black and white, very interactive, very cute. And together, we made the Beach DLC and the On Tour DLC. And that gave me some cash. And I could go back to making my silly prototypes. So let's move on to chapter 2. And this is about the start of actual Curiosmos. And I was asked to be a jury at Anifilm, which was great. This was for me a life-changing event, I think. I went there and I talked to really cool devs, and over a beer we had a conversation about the prototypes, and one of the developers was like, why don't you try to make one of these prototypes together with a team into a full game? And it had never occurred to me that I could have a team and I could lead it and make a game. And that seemed also pretty daunting, so I was like, that seems like a long shot to like lead a project and have like a team that works for me. But then I also thought like, you know, I could just give it a shot and see where it ends, and you know, maybe I don't succeed and it stops somewhere, and that's all good. But let's just try. So I went to INDIGO like 3 years ago in search for a programmer to make this game with, and maybe some funding because I had no idea. I didn't find a programmer, but I saw Alessandra. Alessandra is great. And she was like, what are you up to, Celine? I was like, look, I'm going to make this beautiful passion project. And she's like, how's that going? I was like, well, I have no programmer, no funding, I have no idea. And then she was like, you know what you should do, Celine? There is this really nice fund in Belgium, and they're looking for collaborations between the Netherlands and Belgium. And it's a Flemish fund. I think everyone knows here, but Flanders is the top region where they speak Dutch in Belgium. You also have Wallonia, where they speak French. And then you have Brussels, which also has its own government where they speak both, and it's kind of a mix. And you have also some like German-speaking regions. It's a real cluster of weirdness, but it's great. I love it. So the fund I was talking about is the FAF fund, Flanders State of Art. And it seemed like a great opportunity, actually. The only thing I would need is a Belgian programmer to work with. There was also another problem, and that is that the deadline was quite close by. But I really wanted to get this because I wasn't ready to wait another half year to start this project. So I had to start searching for this Belgian programmer. So if you remember that bird game from earlier, they were like, yo, Celine, are you coming to Games Camp? Which I was like, no. But it was in Lille, which isn't very far away. It was a very French conference, and my French is okay, but nothing like that. And but I love to hang out with all the people, and I went because it seemed like fun. I would explore Lille, and there I did two things. I hung out with the Merly team, and I hung out with Delphine, and I caught COVID really badly. It was that time. I was so sick. But meeting up with Delphine was great because I was like, it's a long shot, but Delphine, do you know any Belgian people? I need to talk to some. And she was like, no. Well, I know Joon. I was like, okay, great, one lead, let's go. I shoot Joon a message, and he's like, I don't know anyone, sorry. But maybe Pepijn. I shoot Pepijn a message. Pepijn actually turned out to be interested himself. So we meet up, we say hi, it's great. We go like, okay, let's collaborate maybe. And then, yeah, we did it. So Belgian programmer found. Me and Pepijn were going to work together. Now the only thing was left was this fund. And I only had 1.5 months left to make it. So we did a little crunch for the document, and we worked really hard. Yeah, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about crunch in this presentation. But I'm not a fan of crunching. I really hate it. I think no one should do it. Sometimes it happens. I'm sorry. So yeah, we got it. We got the money. Yeah, the fund was granted. And within 4 months, I went from just a silly idea that I had a while ago to being in development with someone else. So let's move on to chapter development. Pepijn does the programming, I do the art, design, communication, all the rest, and it sounds really exciting and fun. So I'm going to show you how it evolved. So when I had this idea, I wrote it all down on a document, and this is like the first notes I've ever taken of this idea. Yeah, quite cute. And then for this document, I had to make concept art, which came in super handy because now I had like a direction to go to. Here's the solar system. You have your own planet. I wanted this satellite to be in the game, so I made some concept art for him. And I was like, okay, let's go, Pepijn, let's put it in the game. And he made this. I was like, oh man, that's quite hideous shit. But it's okay. I was like, okay, all the blue is like all my notes. And then I made a 3D example. We merge it together and it becomes this. And this is a first great start, I think. You can see that you can see the terrain, which is changeable. The physics are in. You can play with asteroids. There's cloud. We make an asteroid belt. This is my first attempt. Absolutely, I'm sorry. Mood, yeah, way better. That's a lot. I love blue. Put it in there. And then, yeah, the game is going well. Pepijn has this breakthrough where he makes like the terrain 3D, and it looks all juicy and cute. I love it. So things are looking great, or are they? So if you remember the co-working space, that fell apart, like not literally, but the friendships broke, my relationship broke, and that's all a great recipe for depression or feeling depressed. I was just like so low. And a lot of people, when they're low or they're not going through a great time, what they do is they dive into their work, they lock in, they go like, okay, full speed working. But that's not me. I just lie on the couch and I do nothing. I'm like, oh my God. And this really sucked because, yeah, I don't know. I really wanted to work on the game, but I put a lot of pressure on it. And luckily, the game was at a stage where the game doesn't need a lot of art, and Pepijn could just continue with the programming. So eventually I realized I just had to chill, take a step back, and as soon as I did, I regained my motivation, and I regained my lust to work again, and slowly the productivity came back. So, this is how the game was looking then, so you have all the physics. We hire a new programmer because we thought it was too much programming work and we wanted someone to understand better gameplay. So we hired Guillaume. Things are looking good again. We're going to showcase at a maze. I'm excited, still a lot to make. And then, oh no, Pepijn burns out. Pepijn needs to take a step back. I'm like, okay, all good, Pepijn. But I think that was really good, but it put the game in a difficult position because we didn't really get to a point where the prototype was, in my opinion, good enough. So I had to, to show it to other people. So I had to find a way to make the prototype well enough to give the idea of the whole game. And what was great is that Amaze was asking for a trailer, and that did exactly the trick. Because I made this trailer of all the things that we did have, and with Guillaume, I've rounded up everything in the prototype and we took it to Amaze. And the trailer that I made really gave a great idea of what the game could be. And there were a lot of like gameplay questions, but that didn't matter. People saw the vision. So this was the trailer. It's basically the same sound. So yeah. Here you can see the old version. It's really easy to compare it. Solar system was 2D. Yeah, wormhole taken out of the game entirely. There's Curio, the first version. And this trailer worked so well for me because now I could show this to people. If they were like, what are you working on, Celine? It would be like this, and it would actually excite people and give them an idea of what it could be. So yeah, by the end of that, we finished the prototype, kind of, and we had this super nice trailer to show a publisher or the fund again. But by then I wasn't sure about the production anymore. A lot of things were kind of uncertain. We only had one programmer left, and it wasn't a technical programmer, so I would have to find someone else. The deadline of the next fund for the full production of VAF was super close by, so I would need to work really hard. And the game design of Curiosmos proves really difficult. It's a very intuitive game, and it also needs an intuitive approach to designing it, and that is quite challenging because it needs a lot of testing and a lot of experimenting. And then also, the hardest part of making this game has yet to come. We only just finished like the prototype, and we still had to then release the game, which is so heavy. So I was ready to walk out. Just hit the bricks, leave the project behind, kill my darling, move on to a new one. But also I was thinking, I could just, try, see how far I get, and yeah, I did exactly that. So what I did was, I went so hard on this document. By then I wrote like 140 pages. I could have written a little book. But it was a great document, and actually it made me think a lot about the game also in marketing sense and production. And then I found the rest of my team that we have now. We added a new producer, Chris in the middle, Robin on the left, our new technical programmer, and that's Guillaume on the right, who was doing the gameplay programming. So I think having a team learned me a lot of stuff, and I got a lot of great philosophy from Adrian, working together with him, try to apply that in the project. What I think is really important is I take a lot of care picking the team. I thought a lot about this, and what is really important for me is intrinsic motivation to work on this project particularly. They need to be excited about Curiosmos as well and want to invest. But also they need to fit the energy of the game, of the rest of the team, is what Then everyone in the team has rev share, which I think is great. I think you have to think about that a lot, don't overpromise, but also this is so nice because it gives them a feeling of ownership as well of the game. And it's also, they'll have skin in the game, so it's also in their interest to make this game banger. And it puts in a lot of trust as well, which goes for the next thing as well, work hours. I'm very flexible with work hours. Work whenever you feel like working. Because I think it's both for me more efficient as for them. It will not decrease their motivation a lot if they just work when they can. And it's also this trust, that I put in them to just put the work in the game as they want it. And sometimes you just have a bad day and you just can't work, and that's fine. That should be totally normal. Just take the day off. And then I love to do a lot of team building, and I think it's a lot of fun. We go to a lot of events together, and that's how we bond. And I think it's really nice to have this really tight team. We're really buddies, and that feels really good. And it really helps as well when we approach stressful moments, when we have to release something. We can just rely on each other and help each other feel motivated still. I love this feeling of unity. So, I've been doing that. We've been continuing the project. It's looking like this now. We recently added volcanoes, which is really nice, very exciting. We're working on adding oceans, which is great. And creatures in there. Maybe some ice, coldness. We added the black hole. That's the big bad boy. You have to defeat him. And we announced during the Wholesome Direct, which was absolutely great. It got us a lot of wish lists. We even were in Day of the Devs. That felt amazing. I love Day of the Devs. Recently also at Amaze, by the way. That was great. And even though the project makes me do a lot of this, I also think that if Curiosmos doesn't become a commercial success or a success in other ways, I think I still feel quite, I don't know, like I have a success, because how far we already came, and having this super nice team and having all the wins that I just showed you, that really feels like there's no way I can lose. So yeah, thank you very much. And if you have your own passion project, very good luck with that.
Thank you so much, Celine. Does any of you have a question for her? Raise your hands.
Sorry, can you repeat it?
Does it just start with an idea or a concept, or do you have like a script written?
It's basically just an idea, but you have to work it out also. If you have to talk to the team, like they have to know what they're working on and where it's going to go. And I think currently it's also a little bit of a problem, because the game needs so many like iterations, like with this game design. And I'm really trying to stabilize it so everyone knows exactly what we're doing. So I think on a small scale, that's quite fine. We know where we're going. On a bigger scale, I'm trying now in Miro to scope out for everyone to understand what it's going to be. Yeah, which, I mean, I think it should in every game be done like way earlier. But yeah, the design changed so much that it needs a revision. Yeah.
Hello, I really liked your talk. Thank you so much. How do you balance managing a team while still having time to work on the game?
Yeah, very good question. I don't know actually how I managed to do this time management, because I feel like I can keep up with the programmers quite well. I can even have a third programmer. I would love that actually, so we get things moving forward quicker. But I have a producer, and he helps me a lot with admin stuff, like sending emails, writing post announcements, and that is really good for marketing. He also does a lot of the communication. We work together with Future Friends for the marketing, and he helps me a lot with that. So I think like it's thanks to Chris, that team management. He also points out when things aren't working quite well, or I can discuss with him. I'm like, I think we have this problem, and then we can brainstorm together. So I think that really helps, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Hello. What was your inspiration for the very clay-like art style?
Yeah, I would say it's a funny story, because honestly, I'm not very 3D. Somehow I ended up here, and I was struggling a lot in Unity to make things look nice, and then I think one day I stumbled upon this lighting settings in Unity, and that made everything feel so soft. I was like, oh, that's great. And then from there I built, and then when Pepijn came into the project and we had like the terrain, I was like, could be great if, you know, it had more like texture. So we added normal maps, and then I was like, what if we make it move on, on time frames? And then we had the vertex displacement. I think I slowly built from there. I think like the core of the game doesn't change a lot, but the details in the visuals change. Yeah, you can see the vertex displacement. I love it. I don't know, it's just like small inspirational moments, and then Pepijn helping me implement that made that happen.
All right, thank you.
Yo. Hey, what are some of your most important inspiration, like pieces of inspiration for this project in terms of vision, and what tools do you use to communicate that vision to the team besides the sketches?
Okay, so it's more directed towards the team, or how I came to the idea of the game?
Bit of both.
Okay, so the game is very inspired by Kaita Takahashi, that has this really nice vision of how to make games, and that's all about like friendship and together. It's not really gameplay, but you like play around. And I thought that was so original and cool. And the idea for Curiosmos I had when I was in France and I saw my little niece and nephew play on my iPad. And I was like, but what do I want them to play? And then I was like, it would be so cool if I can share my passion for space with these, I don't know, my family in this playful way. And that's how the idea came around. With the team, yeah. I don't know, I just really like them, and I don't know how to answer that one.
Yeah, I guess the second part was, how did you communicate that feeling of looking at your like cousins to your team? How do you convey that?
I think we talk a lot about the game and the design and the structure and what they would like to see and how I see things. I think it's a lot of like discussing it. Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, thank you. You mentioned it took quite a couple of iterations to get there at the end. But in the meantime, you've also had to change team members a lot. How do you go, what approach worked for you finding people when you were just starting out in terms of, I guess it relates to that, like communicating your vision, but also they brought in a lot of direction, it seems like, through their own interpretations of your work. How do you deal with that when you're just starting to find people?
I think my team didn't change that much, or like not a lot of people left, only Pepijn. He's totally okay, by the way, right now. He has other projects that he's working on. He's great. But yeah, and then we just had Chris and Robin add to the team, and I just explained them. I showed them all the footage we have in game. I was like, this is what it's all about feel, you know? It's all about, I don't know, playing around, goofing, sandboxing. And this is what it eventually has to be. Eventually you'll have multiple planets. I want volcanoes, I want an ocean, all that kind of things. I think I should show people eventually my Miro, because it's full of all these design drawings, like, oh, if we have water, I want it to feel like this, and the game progresses like this and that, and all that kind of things. And we work in Notion, where we make all the tasks. At the start of each milestone, we go like, okay, so this feature, we already know that it needs this and this. Is there anything else we can think of? And then we divide the tasks and we move forward to the next. Yeah, we work in sprints, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Can I ask a follow-up? Oh, do you feel like they might have changed the outcome of the game?
Yeah, I think thanks to them, there's like things that became better. There's also like, you don't have full control over, like, for example, Robin made the volcanoes for the first time, and it was interesting to see it work. And it wasn't exactly what I was like, that's a really thick looking volcano. We gotta really like cone it up. And it was like needed, I had him rewrite a couple of things. But sometimes these kind of things I leave in because, I don't know, it's nice to see other people bring in like these ideas. Guillaume adds a lot of like particle effects and animations as well as he builds things. And I don't know, it's actually, it's nice to let go of my own perfectionism and accept like everything that comes in. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for sharing your personal story, quite inspiring. Building on the last questioner, so quite a few changes happened in the team, and you put a lot of emphasis on building that team. What did you do to keep that team energy, the team flow going? Do you have like best practices in that team building?
Yeah, like I said, we also meet up sometimes. Like this game is quite remote because everyone lives in Belgium except for me. So I go to Belgium, like, I don't know, once every 2 months, or they come to Utrecht. And we do a lot of team building, like we go to events, like Gamescom was very bonding because it was so heavy. And we were like, I don't know, working on the last couple of things right before we were showcasing. And it was very, I don't know, like a very wholesome experience whilst Chris was cooking. And I think that works great. I mean, I took a lot of care that the personalities work together when picking this team. So it's nice to see that it worked out. We fit quite nicely, yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much, Celine, and thank you all for all your questions. This is all the time we have left, but please stick around because the next one is Rami's talk from Ramiz Ismail.
Thank you.